Welcome to episode 325 of In Touch with iOS, the show that talks about iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Apple TV, and related technologies. I'm your host, Dave Ginsburg, and I have Kelly Guimont back on the show. So glad you're here. How you doing, Kelly?
Hi, Dave. Nice to be here. I'm always excited to come back and chit-chat with you guys about what's new.
Yes, it's always great to have you. And back after a short absence, Ben Roethig. Glad you're back on the show. How you doing, Ben?
I am doing fantastic and thankful to have tonight off.
Yes, because we missed you, and I'm so glad you're here. Marty Jencius is always is here. How you doing, Marty?
Yeah, I've mentioned this before on the show. Work just keeps getting tougher and tougher, and Thursday nights are just kind of the beginning of the weekend for me.
Yeah, there you go.
I had a book chapter hanging over my head and spent last weekend working on it, and there was a Die Hard marathon on. So I had that running in the background while I wrote the book chapter. And when I edited it, I had to take all the yippee-ki-yays out of the text.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that might be tough. That might be tough.
Welcome to the Vision Pro, pal.
Yeah, that's right.
I was going to say, I have an Apple Vision Pro. Ho, ho, ho.
You do? No, you don't. I was going to say. So we are going to have I've started the segment, and now I'm going to have retitled it. Now I'm going to have In Touch with the Vision Pro for this week. So we'll have that each week because I get to have a conversation with Marty and I, since we both own them, and we'll talk about that. There's some updates that have happened with iOS 18, iOS 17, and then we're going to hit a little bit on the beta, and going to talk a little bit about the AirPods. We didn't really hit on that last week, and some other stuff with the iPhone 16, specifically the camera control and so much other stuff. But let's jump into it. And this week, we're going to talk about the Vision Pro, and I'm going to talk about the fact that I finally figured out how to get the gosh darn control center open. I kept asking you, Marty, how the heck am I not being able to do it? So, and I'm going like pinch this and put my hand up like this and going like this and moving all over the place here. But
did you
finally realize?
Did you turn it all about?
I did. I almost did the hokey pokey. I was going crazy here. So I finally realized. All right, look straight forward. I'm looking at the apps, the app menu, and then just move my eyes to the right. Put my hand like this, and my eyes should be looking at this palm right here. So I'm looking at the palm, and what do you know? It comes up every single time I do that. So I flip around, grab the little clock and the icon there, tap it, and then there's the control center panel. I just could not believe it took me that long to finally figure that out. But
yeah, and it's not. I feel your pain because I had the same problem. I kept trying to put my hand out in front of my face and doing the clicking down. But it's this really kind of painter kind of move where you get the little dot and then you just roll your wrist over and it turns into the control center.
Just look at that palm right there.
Yeah.
All it is, I look right at it. Move my eyes. Don't move your head. Move your eyes.
Cletus in the chat is saying he was having the same issue. So.
Oh, were you? Okay, thanks. I did not have the chat. How you doing, Cletus? So glad you're here. Yes. So I don't feel so bad. Glad you've experienced that too. So, but I'm as we talked pre-show. Yeah, I like to give you a little about my impressions now. So far, I've had it for 2 weeks now, and the biggest thing I've finally figured out too is the fact of when you're moving your eyes, you have to get used to that because you think when you have the Vision Pro on your face, you expect you're going to move your head left or right or up and down, and no, you don't need to do that. You move your eyes, and so. So first thing you want to do is put your code in, and I think it's just amazing. I just look at the 8. I look at the number. Let's say it's an 8 or a 9 or a 6, and then each time you look at that number, tap it, and then it puts in the passcode, and then then you got the retinal ID that allows you to be able to log in after that, and then. Of course, I still got to get used to the positioning because I always do get that. I'm sure you do too, Marty. As far as warning you may have to adjust the Vision Pro a little bit up or down to get it in there. So that was one of the other things I finally discovered, that how to really using your eyes to move around the whole time. Don't move your head left and right. You don't need to. And the other thing always kind of important is to be looking at using a blank wall. Like I'm looking here at a screen right now. If you want to get, especially if you're watching videos and want to get very, very immersed in whatever you're looking at, even if those immersed videos they have, which are amazing for that matter. And then environments, trying to go through those and get those set. So overall, I think those are the things that I think of getting used to. I wish there were more apps. I know I'm going through a lot of the apps. I mean, really, YouTube's probably one of the biggest ones. It works fine within Safari, but I'm hoping YouTube reconsiders coming up with an app. I saw a third-party one. I tried to install it. I think you had to pay like $5 for it. I forgot the name of it. And it wouldn't install. So it must be something was wrong with it. I didn't want to spend much time on it. But
yeah, I would suggest Lens. Lens gives you a panel with multiple. So the problem is the setup with it. You've got to do all of the, you've got to sign into every account. But once you get it all set up, it's YouTube, it's Hulu, it's a pretty good player.
Yeah. But I mean, watching like Paramount Plus and Disney Plus, and oh my God, what an experience! You got to be careful though. I mean, I'm noticing, I sit watching like a show for about an hour, and it's gonna start feeling maybe I need to take a break because it puts a little bit of, especially I've had some challenges with my eyes lately that I want to take a little bit of a break, and so I think I probably could watch maybe a 2-hour movie if I was kept at it the whole time, but I'm a little concerned about it, but I'm hoping to see more expanse on being able to look at your Mac and doing a screen share and being able to look at your Mac screen. I like that. But it is still a challenge, being able to see your mouse and your keyboard. You can see it, but, I don't know how much you've used that, but that's something I'm hoping that they improve upon. I know they're looking at, potentially multiple screens where you can have, moving windows and such later, but that hasn't happened yet. So overall, I think it's a good experience. It's more to come. I mean, I think as far as where we're at when it comes to that. So
yeah, our last show on Vision Profiles, we spoke about I think the title was "So Many Headsets," about all the different headsets that are coming out in the market. And just yesterday, Meta at Meta Connect did their big announcement, and we'll talk about that. And particularly Orion. There's some good video on these Orion glasses that are only $10K right now, $10,000. That's what they figure. They're hopefully going to work that price down. But there's some stuff I look at it and I'm like, this is exactly what Apple had been doing with their headsets. So it's like they're following Apple pretty quickly.
Yep. So then Vision OS 2.1 beta 2, I think it is, that just was just released.
Right.
And really haven't much as far as any features that have been really yet to be announced. Like I said, the ultra wide screen for the Mac virtual display and support for multi-view for the MLS and the MLB games. So I think they're good.
Sherlock Holmes had kind of the street urchins that would go find out information for him. That's what Reddit is for me, because as soon as the second beta came out, people were like trying to figure it out. One of the things, and somebody showed some still shots of this, which was pretty good, that happens in the 2.1.2 or whatever it is at this point, is, when you're in an immersed environment and there's that bleed through that occurs around your hands, you put your hands out and you can kind of see what's outside of the environment, whether you're in a room or something like that. That apparently has been corrected and adjusted in the latest beta. So it's cleaned it up. So somebody responded, this is Photoshop good in terms of it at this point. So that's what we got for Vision Pro this week. Anything you guys want to add, Kelly or Ben? Has that interest you at all, Kelly, for the Vision Pro? I assume you've tried it.
I have. I'm curious to see how it continues to evolve. Like, having tried sort of fresh out of the box, I have a friend that got one like for 0 day and got a chance to check it out. And I'm waiting to, I'm curious to see what it's going to end up with at 2.0 in software. And then I'm curious what the next iteration of hardware is going to be. And I also, incidentally, would like to find out how much static Facebook is going to get for a $10,000 headset, considering that Apple's $3,500 headset
belly
was
aching
highway
about the
robbery
Vision
and
Pro.
the end of the world and on and on and on. So
don't get down on Facebook yet. They're just saying that the demo that they put together, the prototype that they put together, if you look at all the parts, it's around $10K. They're going to move away from that prototype because they're never going to sell. But it's going to be, they said, not till 2027. So,
oh, geez.
And these are glasses. These are not full headsets. They're wearable glasses.
Yeah.
Yep. So
they've announced something that's more than 2 years away. And isn't that?
It's a preview.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Get some interest.
It's not interesting.
Interesting to see how it goes, but yes, I think that for once Apple is actually ahead of the game when it comes to what Meta is doing.
Vaporware and people, remember people. Does anyone remember how long we heard about the headset before it was out? And you know why? Because Apple wasn't going to say anything until they had one to hand you. And so, yeah, well done, Facebook. Bravo.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and move on. Before we get into the beta this week, I had a couple mentions here. Apple did stop preventing folks to downgrade if you install an iOS 18. If you wanted to go downgrade back down to 17.6.1, you cannot anymore because 17.7 came out. So if you were to want to downgrade, you can. I'll actually put I forgot to put a link here in the show notes here. We'll get that in there from OS X Daily. They have information on how you can downgrade. If you're just not happy with iOS 18, because you can stay on iOS 17.7 for now and don't upgrade, and Apple isn't forcing you to. So that's one good thing. And maybe you're not ready yet, and maybe you have an older device. You don't think it's going to meet what you need, but you can do that. So go ahead.
Well, what I don't remember is if you got the same option when 17 was released. That was, there's an update to the version you have now. You can go from 16 whatever to 16 next notch up. Or if you'd like, 17's a thing. Should you be so inclined, you can go update to that. I noticed that with when 18 came out, had 17 installed and it said 17.7 is available, but there is 18. You have an option. You can do either one. And I really appreciated that. It's so much nicer than the macOS update experience, which is you need to get the new thing. And if you really aren't going to, then there's like this other thing over here if you really kind of are interested. But you need the new thing. And I really appreciate having the option, like the far more subtle opportunity, because the important thing is that you install that update, because more and more lately they've been security updates. So I appreciate getting the opportunity to put the security update on right away. And then, if you're someone like me who gives it a day or two to make sure that there aren't any super, super sharp edges to worry about, then go ahead and pull the trigger. And so I just really, on iPadOS, it was the same way as well. And I just really, after having had to do everything at the day job in my power to make sure that people don't end up accidentally pulling the trigger on Sequoia and breaking all manner of security software and getting
need to talk.
And getting asked every 20 minutes about are you sure you want to give access to a thing? It was really nice to see this upgrade process of this is what's available right now. If you're interested, we've got this other thing, whatever you want to do. And I just really liked that experience. I don't remember seeing that last time, so I don't remember if it was like that or not, because last time I got last year I got a new phone, so I don't remember what the upgrade process was like on my 12 Pro. But I really liked that experience of it's here, should you be so inclined, but it's not, go get the latest thing or install the stupid update for this one because clearly you're a caveman and inferior in some way and you should question all your decisions.
Yeah.
So it was much nicer this way.
Yes. So let's move on here. There was some issues, and I actually experienced it myself. With iOS 18, touchscreen issues were reported by some iPhone users. Yeah, I'm sitting here tapping things, and I'm like, what is going on here? I have an iPhone 16 Pro Max, and I can't quickly get to my apps, and it's slowing down, and but it is being affected. Apparently, not just the iPhone 16. It's also older devices going all the way back to the iPhone 14. lot of unresponsiveness in areas of the screen, resulting in mistaps, ignored swipes, difficulty scrolling. I experienced all this. I've done a number of resets. I would do a hard reset just to reboot, I guess you should call it, just to see if that cleared it up, and it seemed to. So I haven't seen a lot of it lately. But ironically, after this was discussed earlier this week on Monday, as we record here, Apple is reportedly going to be releasing iOS 18.0.1 to fix several bugs, including this. So they apparently internally are testing it. It hasn't been officially announced just yet. Link to the Mac Rumors article here. There's evidence of the software update and their website's analytics and logs have accurately revealed that many iOS versions before that were released. And they expect 18.0.1 will be a minor update, which we expect. And it will address the updates where the touchscreen issues, as well as an iMessage bug where a shared Apple Watch face can cause the app to repeatedly crash. And iPadOS 18 bricking some iPad Pro units with the M4 chip. We reported on that last week. That some folks had the one like I have, the M4 chip iPad Pro, got bricked. And yeah, it was not a lot of people that it happened to, but yes, just be aware of that if you are experiencing the issue with the iPhone on that, be aware of it. Did you experience that at all, Ben, on yours with the updates?
I have not, but this is one of those reminders. Do not be like me. Be more like our friend Chuck Joyner.
Yeah. Or me. I don't do it either.
Yeah. If your device is mission critical, let the pawns go first.
That's right. Did you experience?
Don't do this on your daily driver. That is not what this is for. If you do not have a sacrificial device, find a sacrificial friend. Do not be the canary in that coal mine.
Don't do beta.
Yeah.
You do not want this.
But I mean, even if it's a mainstream update, probably best to wait 24 or 36 hours just to make sure that nobody else is completely borked.
Yeah, but this was production 18.0 that was causing it. So Did you experience it all, Marty?
I'm running the developer betas, and I'm glad to hear they're going to do something about it. I don't think it's rolled into the developer betas, actually, because I still get it sticky.
Right.
And so, maybe we'll see that improve that. Nothing I do in my life is mission critical. It's just, it's kind of a Zen approach to life. Nothing that you do is mission critical. So yeah, I get very few bumps along the way, but as Ben said, be like Chuck, and we all need to be like Chuck. But for me, I experienced what you're saying and thought, well, this is weird, but do a reboot and it goes away. But hopefully they'll have a firmer fix for it.
This is such a weird one to me, and I've seen some stuff. I remember original versions of iOS when it was iPhone OS, and all kinds of weird things. I remember the update that got released where they bricked the phone, like there was no cellular service on your phone for I don't remember how long. It didn't happen to me. It happened to a friend of the show, Jeff Gamet, and I remember talking him through it and trying to help him get it sorted out, which was pretty interesting. But the fact that software would make it so that it was weird, it was like hard to touch portions of your screen. The way I understand it, it's like the sections of the screen, like everything in this part is fine, but everything in this other part gets a little weird. And I thought it was fascinating the way that the software was causing it to fail, because that seems like it would be a hardware thing, right? So I thought that was pretty interesting. I will again remind people that I personally adhere to the rule that I made up, which is the Star Trek movie rule of betas. And if the Star Trek movie number sucked, don't install that beta, which basically means stick to the even numbered ones until you get way up in the double digits, and then it might be okay. But, even then your mileage may vary. So that's my personal stance. And yeah, if you trade in your phone every year, pick a year where you don't do that, so that you have one as kind of an emergency drawer phone situation, and take that one and install betas on it and let it be the canary. Get it a nice bright yellow case and name it Tweety and, whatever you need to do. And don't do it on your daily driver, because nothing will underscore for you just how much of your life is in your phone, except the fact that your phone doesn't work. I had a weird cellular outage here a while ago that screwed like everything on my phone for about 36 hours, and nothing worked at all. It didn't matter what it was. Like I would have it on Wi-Fi. I couldn't text. I couldn't anything. And because my phone was having such problems, like I couldn't go to my computer and send people messages, or anything like that. It was the weirdest thing. And like, yeah, when you suddenly end up kneecapped like that, it is very, very dramatic and surprising. And it makes you have a whole new appreciation for how much your life is in your phone.
Or what we call a personal growth moment.
Yeah,
yes.
You could say that.
Yep. Yes. So let's go ahead and then move on. We can now talk a little bit about the fifth beta of iOS 18.1 and iPadOS 18.1 with Apple Intelligence. They did provide the fifth betas out for that, and the Apple Intelligence tools with the writing tools that are available. And the Siri has that new design with the subtle glow around the display, and many other of the features. And Marty, what are you seeing so far with Apple Intelligence in this round of beta?
I'm seeing all sorts of stuff come up. I'm getting pretty much notifications. My notifications are summarized, and I'm with a group right now that's using WhatsApp a lot. And so I'm getting, on my home screen, my lock screen, I'm getting notifications that are all summarized about that. Sometimes they make absolutely no sense because it's trying to cram too much into it. I'm seeing some great in messages. I'm seeing some great opportunities to just it gives you choices of responses, and those often fit the key where they pop up as options that you can fill in. And seeing a better use of sort of suggesting text as I'm typing something, finding it more often, I can press that space bar because it's getting me where I want to go. You have some articles loaded that talk about what's going to happen supposedly with each one of the .1, .2, .3 releases, what's going to happen in terms of Apple Intelligence that I think is pretty interesting series of predictions in terms of that.
Yep. How about you, Marty? With Ben. How about you with this? With any changes with that 18.1 for you?
Honestly, not a whole lot. I mean, you have the pause button in the camera app, those new selfie options, but I mean, it's just a little bit. Each point beta is being just a little bit incremental to getting it to. I won't say Apple Intelligence, but Apple or not as unintelligent. To the point where when 0.4 comes around, we're going to get finally basically what was promised in June.
Yeah, I see it more not as intelligent yet, but as assistive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of ways in which it's assisting me that it didn't in the past.
Yeah, it's definitely better than previous Siri and the previous little tools. But honestly, I kind of wish they would have saved the new animation for when everything is online.
Yep. Anything you want to add, Kelly, on this?
I'm looking forward to Apple Intelligence because, like, for example, this has happened to me. So on my phone, I used Apple Pay and I bought tickets to a concert. I bought tickets to see Soul Coughing. And then I used messages and I made plans with my friend to be the person who used my other ticket to see Soul Coughing. We met up and like, we're texting ahead of time. iMessage, I have an iPhone, he has an iPhone. Using iMessage, I have your ticket to Soul Coughing in my phone. When do you want to meet? Where do you want to meet up? Do you want to get dinner beforehand? Plan sorts of things. All of this happened within my phone. Today, I sent him a text using dictation and asked if he had a particular photo from the Soul Coughing show that he could send to me. And dictation decided that what I meant was Swell Coffee Show.
Oh God.
If Apple Intelligence can fix that for me, I will be a huge fan. Until then, it's still in the bin with all the other intelligence, because intelligence is doing a lot of work in every one of those sentences. And like, come on. I mean, I've been listening to Soul Coughing on Apple Music for like on very regular rotation. My heavy rotation playlist has Soul Coughing in it. I have texted the words soul coughing enough times that if I type soul and then a space, the first thing auto suggests is coughing with a capital C. And yet, when I said it this morning, the assistant decided I meant swell coffee.
Oh,
Because it was the morning.
yeah. Yeah, you don't even want to know what I had to do to actually get S Lady to play the latest episode of Upgrade.
Oh, I'm sure it took, paperwork filed with the Vatican in triplicate or something,
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
What?
Yeah,
Yeah.
if Apple Intelligence can fix that sort of thing, or things like let me build a shortcut for like, I want like the smallest little things out of some of this stuff. Like, I want tiny little things like when my phone says it's time for bed and it says it's going to go into bedtime mode. If it knows I'm not home, it maybe should go, hey, do you want to not? And that would be amazing. Or let me build a shortcut that does that. And so far, I haven't figured out how to make that happen. If you know, please tell me. Get in touch with David on the contact page.
Well,
I find these sorts of things really frustrating, and I don't feel like it's a thing that would be impossible for Apple Intelligence to handle. That's where I'm at.
what you're talking about is personal context. And with a lot of this, that you're not going to see that till 0.4.
Yeah.
In terms of what they say the rollout's going to be. So
19.
See if it can do it in March. What? 18.4. Yeah.
19.4. Got it.
No, 18.4.
Yep. Let's go ahead and move on here. Just a quick mention that Watch OS 11.1 has been released to developers, and also tvOS 18.1 has been released. I've been running 18.1 on one of my Apple TVs, and I've been noticing it's been kind of slow. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to back off on it, let it stay. But I discontinued the beta program, but I'll just leave it on 18.1 until it updates to the final version. But beyond that, they've been running okay. The other interesting thing is 18.1 beta 2 bricked some HomePods. I wish Jeff was here. We could definitely hear a good perspective on this. And it has since pulled that beta, so they confirmed it's still unavailable. And they were having a similar issue with iPad OS 18, which we mentioned previous the M4 chips. So, what a surprise. I mean, they still have some work to do on HomePod, in my opinion, with software in general. But yeah, I'm being nice.
My wife bricks my HomePods every time I turn music on. She's like, "Can you put some headphones on, please?" My HomePod becomes bricked. So
You're funny. You talked about the features that are going to be probably coming out between 18.1 and 18.4. Of course, a lot of this is speculation. We already know about what's pretty much going to be coming out on 18.1. A lot of this stuff is just internal testing that people are getting evidence through Mac rumors. Apple Intelligence will get released in December for more countries. So Australia, Canada, New Zealand, South Africa, and the UK. So that's not even going to be out till December. It's funny enough that Apple has been advertising the new iPhone 8.16 and saying, oh, look, Apple Intelligence, and no one has it. So I find that interesting that they are getting people excited about it, but you can't even use it yet because most people are not going to be putting out the beta software on it. So don't know why. So the image playground and Genmoji, that's still coming. The Chat GPT integration with Siri. And, they're going to move on a lot of other stuff. So, we probably got a good, and of course, Siri just went off on my phone, so I shouldn't be saying that. So Yeah, there's going to be a lot more changes. So I can anticipate there's going to be a lot of different versions of iOS 18 coming up here with the different things that they have to do. It's unfortunate. I know Apple Intelligence, Apple wants it to be perfect. They really were excited to get this out, but apparently they can't put out a product that's going to be to their satisfaction, which I'm kind of glad about, but also I'm not glad that they're doing a lot of this advertising. Say, hey, we got it, but we don't. Okay, do you want to add something on it, Kelly?
Yeah, I'm glad they're waiting on it. I mean, look at all the other rough edges this release has had on a bunch of other fronts in the last month. Like, it's been pretty rough, and those are some big things. It's not some people had an issue with a slight little thing if you do it on a Tuesday when the moon is full. Like, no, these are like big, serious, like using the word brick is not a thing that we use lightly on this kind of thing. And so seeing how rough a bunch of the other edges are, I'm glad that they are taking extra super precautions with intelligence, but I do feel like if it was going to be this kind of scale, maybe they should have waited until next June to actually give us something. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm of two minds about it, but I am glad that they are being overly cautious. If they're being overly cautious, I approve of this. This isn't the kind of thing you want to roll out to people without a whole lot of thought around it. So I hope that's exactly what's happening, because this is another one of those sort of fundamental shifts in how you interact with your technology. So I really hope that they understand what they're doing, that they see the magnitude of what they're doing, and that they're very deliberate about all of the decisions being made.
Yep. Anybody want to add anything else on this?
I think they thought very aspirationally. This is what it really could be in terms of how it should work with security, privacy, on your device. And they've got that out there now. And so they have to deliver on it. I'm surprised that their advertisement is not more about the camera control button, because that seems to be a major hardware piece that, it's still janky. It's got some things and it also, if you think, Dave, the hand gestures for the Vision Pro was difficult, the subtleness that you have to do with that camera control button is going to be a learning curve for folks. But it's an incredible addition to the device that could be a better part of their marketing.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the camera control a little bit here. But yeah, you're right. I definitely would agree with that. So when do we think iOS 18.1 is going to be released? I would anticipate it's probably going to be around towards the end of October of 2024. So, I mean, Apple's really pushing hard to get that out because they want people to get Apple Intelligence in their hands, at least the initial stuff that they are satisfied is working properly. So I anticipate to see that, and we'll definitely be going through it and doing a lot more in depth on Apple Intelligence and seeing how it really will improve your life when you're using it. So, other thing I wanted to mention too is with the Sequoia, the iPhone mirroring feature, which is pretty awesome, I must say. Being able to have your iPhone mirrored onto your Mac and the phone can be somewhere else in the room is pretty cool. So with macOS 15.1 and iOS 18.1 Beta 5, Apple enabled a drag and drop, a much anticipated iPhone mirroring feature. After the updating the software, you can now drag files from an iPhone to a Mac and vice versa. That is so cool. And it just makes it very simple to move these files from one device to another because it works even when the iPhone is locking or charging. You just have to update to both. And then from there, you can, if you drag a file, like a photo from the Mac and open the Photos app on the iPhone, it will transfer over. So pretty slick, I must say. Anybody have any comments on that?
The way the articles, I'm sorry, Ben, go ahead.
No, you go first, Marty.
Yeah, the way the article's written, it sounds as if the app has to be open on your mirrored phone. And
no, they don't think
it physically can't
be.
Well, I mean, it seems, if I have it on my screen, I have it mirrored on my screen, and I open up messages or whatever. It can't. Okay, Ben, take over.
Okay.
I'll try that out.
If your phone has to be locked and kind of out of the way for iPhone mirroring to actually work, since you're taking the wheel on your Mac.
Yeah. Anything you want to add, Kelly?
No, I'm still not happy with Sequoia, so I don't have it installed on anything yet. This looks like something that will be really cool around Christmas time, maybe, when I get around to making sure everything on my computer will be happy and that the sharpest of the edges have been filed off Sequoia. Then we'll see about when I can get my personal machine upgraded. Just because I've had a lot of horror stories at the day job about people pulling the trigger on Sequoia and having it be really rough on several fronts, security being but one. And and I don't want to put my users through that. So that's the thing I'm trying to keep from happening.
Good idea.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm the phone mirroring and the better interconnectivity of iPhones and iPads and Macs. Anytime they improve that, I'm always happy about it if it's an actual improvement.
Yep.
Well, what I just did was have phone mirroring set up, clicked on the mirrored phone on my Sequoia, opened up messages, and then dragged a photo from my desktop into messages and dropped it in there, and it worked fine, seamlessly.
That's
I
cool.
sent it to my sister and I said, I'm just testing this. Don't respond.
That will be great eventually.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, your iPhone pretty much becomes just another app on your Mac.
Right. All right, let's talk a little bit about the iPhone 16. Both Marty and I have the 16 Pro Max. We have both the same colors, and we bought the exact same one. He's got the 512. I got the 512. I went with the black titanium, and so did he. So that's what we went with. But I wanted to kind of just give people a little bit of an overview as far as the differences between the 16 and the 16 Pro. So you've got little differences in the type of materials that are used in the phone itself. Anodized aluminum frame with a color-infused glass, whereas this is a blasted titanium frame in the Pro. I won't go into all the details of this stuff here. And you got the screen sizes. You go 6.1 to 6.7 with on the 16 side, whereas the 6.3 and the 6.9 inch screen on the Pro, which is pretty massive. And I've been really pleased with this size screen. I don't know. I assume you think so as well, Marty, with the size. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah.
So, and it has much thinner borders around the display. The ProMotion with adaptive rates is now up to 120 hertz on a 16 Pro. The always-on display, the more power efficient, and then the colors. That's the thing. That's what people. If you're into colors, then probably the iPhone 16 or 16 Plus would probably be fine with you, because there's especially folks that like pink and they like white and they want teal and the ultramarine and some of the fun colors, which is fine. Cameras are pretty close. You got the 48 megapixel on both, and aperture's a little different, but of course you have the third lens on the Pro. It does support this new JPEG-XL format. I haven't really delved too deep into that yet. I'll probably talk about that in a future episode as we find out more of what that does. But the big thing is the 4K Dolby Vision and the video recording up to 120 frames per second on the Pro, which is crazy. So this really is coming out as a Pro style iPhone, as well as adding all the other things that this has when it comes to Apple RAW and night mode portraits, LiDAR scanner. I can go on and on. So really, you got to decide, is it that important to you as far as, is the Pro going to be something you really want to use? If you're going to be really serious about photography using the iPhone, then maybe the Pro might be better for you. The great thing is the Pro and the Pro Max have pretty much the exactly same features on that. If you hadn't done that in the past, you'd have to pay for the Max to get more features. Now, both of them have it. The Pro has up to 1 terabyte of storage, which is crazy stuff. The Pro Max does not have the option of 128 gigs, because you really need to have at least 256 for all the files that you're going to store on a Max with all the other features on it. Whereas the 16 and 16 Plus will go from 128 to 512. And then pricing, of course, it's going to be a lot cheaper on the 16 when it comes to that. So overall, I think you got some really good choices. I've been telling a lot of people, I got relative's going to upgrade from the 12, and she's going to get my 15 Pro Max, which I think she's going to be very happy with because that's quite a jump with that. I've talked to other folks that have the iPhone 11 Pro Max, and you really need to upgrade. It's getting a little long in the tooth for that model, but it's still supported by iOS 18. You're going to be limited to what you have, but a lot of press has been saying that this is probably one of the better upgrades Apple has done over the last 3 years. So you've got some good options here as far as the 16 goes. And I think, Marty, you probably would agree with me because we both have it, that I think this is a really good choice.
Yeah, it's a great phone. I'm an annual upgrader too, so maybe I'm just looking at the sunny side of things. Yep. But I guess I could have gotten the camera control button on a lesser model. And I actually kind of thought about that for a skinny minute that I would do that, but went ahead with the Pro Max. I tell you, I took it out Saturday morning. I got it on Friday, took it out Saturday morning and tried to do the 120 frames per second 4K. And because I want to do some slow motion stuff. And Saturday morning in my neighborhood, there's nothing going on. Joggers do not like you indiscriminately videoing them as they're running down the street. Just found that out, so I have some slow motion digits that are being pointed my way.
Yep. Guys, any other thoughts on the iPhone 16?
It's one of my favorite upgrades Apple has done in recent memory. I did inquire to T-Mobile about an upgrade. Unfortunately, I was told that I would have to completely pay off my 15 Pro Max before I can upgrade. So I'm looking more like the 18 at this point.
Sure.
But that camera control is killer. And the fact that it's available on the base iPhone 16.
Yep.
I mean, the 16 base is basically what a Pro phone was just a couple cycles ago.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add, Kelly?
I'm curious if it's going to come in red because we didn't see that at launch this time. Part of the reason I'm curious about that is because I'm a 2-phone person because I have a work phone and I have my personal device. My work phone is an iPhone 11 and it's red, and it is red for a reason because it's the work phone. And at some point, I'm going to get to upgrade it soon. It will run the now current shipping version of iOS, but it's probably going to be I don't know if it will run it next year. I don't know if it'll run iOS 19 or if they're going to cut it off at 12s. So I've been kind of paying more attention to it lately. So that was the first question I had on this upgrade cycle, was if there's going to be a red one. And I was glad that they had the colors. I'm not sure how I feel about the camera control just because I haven't had a chance to actually play with it, because I have a 15 Pro, which has an action button. And apparently I am once again going to have the model that has the one weird thing that they did once and then are never going to do again.
No, the action button's still there.
No, the action button's...
Oh, there's still an action button?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Talk about it. So I didn't know it was still there. So I was like, oh, great. Yeah. So the 15 got an action button and that was it. Okay. Because it doesn't seem like there's much... Nobody really talked about it after it came out. So I didn't... I dropped a shortcut on it and it does a shortcut for me. And that's all. I don't know what anyone else is doing with it. I never saw people talking about, what do you do with the action button on your phone or whatever. So I didn't think it was there. So yay. But I think this is one of those where it's an incremental, it is an incremental upgrade, but it's been incremental in a lot of ways. The 15 Pro incidentally will do Apple Intelligence. So my phone is still valid for a while longer if it ever gets to a point where it can get things together and understand when I say soul coughing that I mean soul coughing. Then that would be cool. I really like also the Siri effect around the edge of the screen. That's going to be really cool. I know that's a software thing, not a hardware thing, but that's definitely a much better sort of interface to use, I think, to show that it's interacting with you in that way. And every year when they put out the Pro Max and it's that monster phone, I always have two thoughts. And the first is, does anyone remember when Steve Jobs showed us the first one in 2007 And the entire world looked at it and went, who on earth would carry a phone that big?
It was so small.
And then I think, why doesn't Apple get into the women's clothing business and sell pants with pockets designed to hold these teeny iPads? Thank you. That is all.
All right. I am going to move on here, and we're going to talk a little bit about the camera control. Marty, what's been your experience so far? I find it to be fascinating to being able to just go to your phone, pick it up, and just hold the button down, and it automatically opens up the camera for you. I mean, I think that's in itself is a game changer when it comes to getting that to work. But how have you been finding it as far as convenience and easy use?
I don't shoot a lot of pictures, but I do like the convenience of where I know if I go there, I press it, I can get a shot. And I always, when I'm asked to shoot a picture or when I want to shoot a picture because something's happening, I take my phone out of my pocket, swipe it to open it, then look to see the little screen icon for the camera, open that up, make sure that I'm in the right place, not on video, but on photo, not on portrait. And I just like that I can, and by that time, all the excitement's over. So I just like the immediacy of it.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, pressing it down brings it up. Then you do have where you can actually lightly press on the button, engages a haptic click that also allows for adjusting. And I'm still getting used to doing that. I don't know if you've tried or not, but you almost have to press it. And I still can. And I took, it takes a little bit. And I noticed that, the case I have right now, this is a Spudgeon, that opening on there might be inhibiting it from being able to tap it. So I just took it out of the case. So this could be a deal breaker for this case. So having that is pretty awesome, and being able to adjust things like manual exposure and zoom, and having the way to be able to slide the button and going through, and that tapping and holding it will toggle it between, once you get it in the camera mode, between that and video. So you can actually tap through and get that to work when it comes to that. And you can get a clean preview of the scene by capturing it, by hiding the camera app tools, which is great. So being able to adjust the camera control pressure, you actually can go into accessibility and make some changes to it. So which I haven't done yet. So it probably would help if being able to, based on your touch, being able to adjust to it or not. So that there are other ways here too. You actually can do a disable of a clean preview if you don't want that on. The camera control button will engage a clean preview mode. This option hides everything in the camera UI when the camera control button is lightly pressed, so you don't need to be worrying about accidentally touching the lens or adjustments while you're shooting. So there's some tweaking that needs to be done if you wanted to be able to adjust that through accessibility, and changing the gesture as far as you can change what if you're accidentally unintentionally pressing the camera control, you can actually change it to double click if you want. And so there's a number of other things that you can actually go in here as well. If you want, you may want to do something else. Maybe you're not a big picture taker. You maybe want the magnifier in place instead. Might be a quicker way to use that. You maybe use that more. So they have done this to make so it's fully customizable, and you can go as far as drastically disabling it completely if you want to. But I wouldn't want you to think that you should have to do that. So overall, I think this was a good addition to this phone. And like you said, Ben, it's on the 16 and the 16 Pro. So you have both models. I'm sorry, it's across the whole line. So you have the 16 and the 16 Pros both have it. So
is that an actual button, or is it just sort of a smooth part of the case that you touch in a particular way?
It's a smooth part on camera. If you can see that okay. It's just a smooth button there. And when you go to push it, you physically feel it come up, and then.
But it's more like
take the picture,
trackpad kind of clicking, like
it can be.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I was curious about it because I haven't, like I said, I haven't gotten to lay hands on one, so I haven't had a chance to see how that actually works. The other thing I would tack on to that is that if you have not been into your camera settings in a while, like you go to the settings app and scroll down to camera, go in there and take a good look around.
Yep.
One of the things that gets overlooked a lot because it just shows you all the stuff on the screen, and you can really, but again, a thing I tell people all the time, if you go take 10 minutes and look at like the settings in messages, the settings in the camera app, the settings in the phone app. Some of those things get changed with versions of iOS, and they never get talked about because it's not very interesting. Or they talked about it when the camera got upgraded 2 phones ago, but they didn't really, but they haven't really talked since about that particular option has expanded into all these other things now. Every once in a while, I find somebody who is going to take a picture and says, oh, I wish I could get a better quality picture, than whatever they're getting, and they're taking a live photo with the flash on and and it's not, and they're not seeing even the option for to shoot a raw image or something. And being able to point that out to people and take a minute to make sure that you're getting out of it the options that are available, because if you don't even know what's in there, and you don't have to know off the top of your head, but go take a look around in some of those kind of boring apps once in a while, go see what their settings have to say to you, because there's sometimes stuff in there that will really be helpful.
Yep. Yeah, the link that you provided, I think, is a really good article to walk you through, because for me, I have to think of it as like a series of menus. And, I found that one menu that gives me all the different photo options from f-stop to, to aperture to what, all of those. I found it once. And then every other time I tried to do something with the camera, it would automatically drill me down to one of those. I wanted to step back a menu to do something else and use options. So I'm not much on reading directions, but I think this is a really good article to for folks who want to learn how to use the camera button better.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to touch a little bit on the AirPods. Now, we've got the AirPods 4 and we have the AirPods 4 with the sound isolation. Oh, can't even say it. Isolation. And so you have the 2 models, and that's really the only differences between the 2. We've talked about it numerous times. It's a great article here from Mac Rumors that gives you kind of a comparison going all the way back to the 2nd gen AirPods and the third gen. Not comparing it to the Pro, because the Pro 2 and the Pro are probably more advanced than what these are. So check that out. I think that's an amazing bargain. The AirPods 4 and the Pro, and the Pro with the isolation. So check that out, and you can see for yourself which ones that might be better for you if you don't want to invest the money into the Pro 2.
Yeah,
but they are gearing up. Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, I don't know, I pushed the button and purchased some 4s with isolation.
Surprise.
Because they said they redesigned it. And I always hated the standard AirPods because they would never stick in my ear, and even having even when they went wireless, or the format. Mm-hmm. So I have a pair of Pro 2s and switched those out when I started using my Vision Pro for sound cancellation. And they talk about the sound cancellation on these things. And so particularly for me, when I'm on a plane, that's when I want to have sound cancellation. But I want to reduce the bulkiness of anything that I carry. Going to the Pro 2s with the rubber, collars on them worked really well enough for me to be able to switch from over-the-ear headphones. Just out of curiosity, I got one of the 4s, and I'm going to take a flight next week, and I'm going to take both pairs and try and do a comparison in terms of engine noise. And, that was $180 curiosity. So we'll see what happens.
I'm really curious about the noise cancellation with the ones that don't have seal on them. So with the regular AirPods, that and the new shape. I'm curious about both of those things. I've not had a problem with those once I figured out what the fit was supposed to be for my ears. I have the Pro 2s. If you are, I think, don't the Gen 4 AirPods also, aren't they now USB-C charging?
Yes.
Am I remembering that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they are USB-C.
If nothing else,
both are.
If nothing else, I upgraded my AirPods last year to the Gen 2 in the USB-C case. So now my phone and my AirPods and my computer all can charge with the same cable. And it is magical. I am here to tell you, it is the best thing. Now, if
The
they would
case
do that
is-
for my keyboard, I would be so excited.
The case
Yeah.
is a little smaller with the
Yeah, it-
Force.
Yeah, I'm curious about the how the cancellation is going to work. So, Marty, I'm looking forward to your report on that.
Yeah, the
Because
fit.
I know a lot of
the-
people who've had trouble with the pros, or
Yeah.
for whatever reason, or don't like you, that it doesn't fit in my ear. I seem to know like all the people, that didn't get their ears scanned as part of this fit test that Apple says, like, we scanned the inside of all these people's ears so that we would make something that fits most everybody. And like, I know all the people who it doesn't fit. So
Yeah,
I'm
well,
really curious if this new shape helps anybody.
It does. It helps. I've been wearing them without the noise cancellation, and the fit is a completely different feel. And it's nice and secure in my ear. Now I want to see how it is in a noise environment.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, if you are worried about the fit of the football-shaped AirPods 4, and you want a pair of noise canceling headphones from Apple, they still make the Beats Studio Buds Plus at about that same price point.
Yeah.
There's is it the Fit? I think the Beats Fit that has the little fin on the top for people who have a hard time.
That's the Fit. That's the one I have.
Yeah, I know a lot of people who went that route for theirs to get noise canceling and something that when they tilted their head to the side didn't fall out. Almost everybody I knew who apparently has an incompatibility with AirPod shapes went with the Beats Fit, and that little fin made all the difference. So, yeah.
Sure. Yeah, instead of having to buy those third party. Okay, let's go on to the news for this week. Well, sticking with the AirPods, Apple is gearing up to add the hearing aid feature of the AirPods Pro 2, like we've talked about a number of times here since they announced it. As we know, the FDA just from the United States did approve this for Apple, so they're ready to go. Mac Rumors had a good article here that they were able to actually do some behind the scenes to start getting ready for the hearing assistance functionality for the AirPods Pro 2 in the latest 18.1 beta, which does not have the feature enabled at a current time, but is hidden in the update, and Apple could potentially activate it in a future beta. It shows how you go through and take the hearing test and what's new in the AirPods. So it is going through, and I'm gonna be interesting to see how that works. Because anybody can test their hearing and then see if this works. And I'll tell you, I think these hearing aid companies are a little worried about this, and we've been talking about that. So, and it's pretty amazing to see that Apple's been able to do this with the AirPods Pro 2, and you didn't have to buy a new pair because those of us who have the Pro 2s, you're ready to go.
I'm really excited about this feature because I think there is a huge gap between people who maybe have a hard time in a loud space or in a place with a lot of other people, at a restaurant, out at a big public event, like you're at a concert, you're at Oktoberfest, you're at, something outside with lots and lots of other people, Saturday markets, kinds of things. And it can be really hard to hear other people. My hearing, I think, is decent. And I still sometimes, like, if the tone of the background noise is just so, you could be standing right in front of me and I can only guess at what you're saying. And I know a lot of people in that boat. And I think there's a lot of people who hear everything well enough most of the time that they would never think that they need to go to an audiologist and get a hearing test and figure it out and do all of that stuff, and will be very, very well served by this. And then, and not necessarily having to go to a doctor. And also, this is another one of those things that Apple's doing that's sort of health focused, like, the warnings on your watch and things like the fall detection in the gait and the AFib. Your heart rate's wacky, or it's your rhythm is doing something a little weird, and maybe you should pay attention to that. They show us that video at the beginning of like every event now of people whose lives are saved or improved by something that Apple has rolled out as a feature. And I think that something like this is just only going to improve a lot of people's quality of life. If you can hear well enough, but in certain situations it's harder, that's not necessarily going to be a thing that makes you go to a doctor and get a hearing test and a bunch of other stuff. So, because like hearing aids aren't cheap, like, there's not an over-the-counter thing for $15 or $20 that you can do that will make that better. It's not like the little off-the-rack prescription reading glasses. There's nothing like that for your ears. So I think this would make a huge difference for a lot of people.
Sure. Anybody want to add anything else to this?
Yeah, my brain, this is one talk. The AirPods Pro 2 continue to be what might be the best value that has ever existed in a pair of in-ears.
Yep.
Apple could have charged full price as a new product for any of the features they've announced in the last 2 years or so for this product. But no, they're giving you them for free. And they just keep they're a much, much better product in value than they were when they launched.
Because I just got with iOS 18, I got the notification the first time I connected my AirPods after I had upgraded about, do you want to shake your head, nod your head and shake your head to use the gestures with your AirPods. And I didn't do anything to add that. I didn't have to buy anything new. That was the thing I was most impressed about with all of this. Like you said, Ben, is that this is the ones that are already out there. You're just waiting for a software upgrade to get to do all this extra stuff. I thought that was very cool.
Yep. All right. Next story, Apple Music 2.0. They added the thousands of full album booklets. Apple Music Classic, the classical music streaming service, was introduced in 2023, received a version 2.0 update. Brings a couple worthwhile features to the iPhone and the iPad. Still no Mac app for this, which I think is still crazy. I don't know why. But they do have all those booklets that are added as far as multi-language liner notes, composer biographies, information about the orchestra, conductors, soloists, and plus where relevant, sung texts and opera libretta, and enriching listeners' understanding of the music. I'm not a big classical music listener, but this is a great app, and they've done this. Again, there's 5 million classical music tracks and high quality releases. This was good that the Apple kind of isolated this away from the Apple Music app. You still can listen to classical music in the Apple Music app, but you won't have as much access to what this service has in its place. So good. Good to see.
I've got a classical music person in my household, and pass that on to her, and she's excited about the possibilities. My reaction to this is, damn, I wish they'd do that on the other Apple Music side. I mean, liner notes from Jethro Tull's Thick as a Brick, which was literally a newspaper. There's so many cool things that they used to put in albums that that disappeared when they digitized it. Yeah. And it'd be just as easy to go back and add those things.
Yep. What do you think, Ben?
Yeah, this, for classical music fans, this keeps getting better, unless you're on an aforementioned Mac, which I absolutely do not understand that. I mean, they could literally just port over the iPad app.
That's all I want. I don't need it to be amazing. I don't need the liner notes. I just want to be able to listen to stuff in the classical app, because I like to listen to classical music sometimes when I'm working. And if I do that and I use my regular Apple Music account, it screws the algorithm forever. Like favorites and everything becomes a bunch of instrumental stuff that is not what I wanted. That's not what I want.
Right.
That's not what I want from those things. Like the Get Up mix should not include Beethoven. Like, do not at me. You will not change my mind. And I don't understand it. I don't like it. And when I'm working on my Mac. And so I want to be able to listen to the music on my Mac. I don't want to have to install a whole thing on my work phone just so that I can listen to some music while I'm doing other things on my computer that also include listening to things on my computer. And so I find this very frustrating, and I'm kind of aggravated by it every time. And so when I saw there's new stuff coming for Apple Music Classical, I was really excited. And then none of those things involved a Mac. And so I'm sad about it again.
Yes. And you know what Apple product has a built-in DAC? Your Mac.
Yeah. So next story here. I thought this was fun. This was really fun to watch this past week on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. He caught up with Apple's CEO Tim Cook, and this was on Friday, actually to chat about the new iPhone 16 and Cook's love for the iconic Fifth Avenue Apple Store in New York City. Fallon was wearing an Apple Vision Pro. He met Cook with mock disbelief while he picking up his new iPhone, with Cook personally handing him the device, and he was putting his hand up on his face like he was trying to make sure that's him. And it was really funny. This is on YouTube now. I'm going to put a link in the show notes for that as well. They strolled around and they wanted to take a walk to the Upper East Side store, and then Cook says that he tries to visit the Fifth Avenue location during every major launch, and And Fallon did joke about Cook's rock star like reception from fans. So it was a lot of fun to watch. So check that out, especially Fallon doing his psychic skills about guessing what Tim Cook likes on his hot dog. Was it ketchup or mustard? I'll let you find out. So check that out. Anybody want to add anything to that? I will go ahead and move on. It was fun. Apple did cut the interest rates on the Apple Card savings account. It's now cut from 4.4 to 4.25. You have to kind of expect that since the interest rates were just lowered by the Fed in the United States. So we got that notification. So still pretty amazing interest rate for a savings account. You can't really complain about that too much. And we had plenty of discussion about the Apple Card and where that's all going, but that's what's happening with the savings account. And then that is about it. Unless anybody else has anything else they want to bring up before we go ahead and wrap up for this week. There was a great conversations this week, and appreciate you all being here. So let's go ahead and wrap up for this week. That's a wrap for this week. Please send your comments, questions, and suggestions to our email address, which is feedback@intouchwithios.com. You can follow us on Mastodon, which is at intouchwithios, at techhangout.social. Support the show by buying me a coffee at intouchwithios.com/coffee. We would really appreciate it. You can become a patron of the show by going to patreon.com/intouchwithios. We have 2 tiers available to support the show. We would really appreciate it. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe so you're notified when we're live streaming on Thursday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/intouchwithios. Thanks for Cletus and Brian and a number of others that were in the chat this week that joined us live. You come check us out. You can watch the current and past live streams as well as listen to past shows. Visit In Touch with iOS magazine on Flipboard, where many of the topics we discussed are flipped into that magazine. The link is in our show notes. You can subscribe to the show in your favorite podcatcher, including Pocket Casts, Overcast, Apple Podcasts, and many others. But just better yet, go to our website, intouchwithios.com, where all the links to all the ways to listen to us are on that website. I am Dave Ginsburg. You can find me on Mastodon at DaveG65 and Mastodon.cloud. And Kelly Guimont, thank you as always for being here. We love having you. Where can people find you?
You can find me over on Mastodon, where I am verso at mastodon.social. You can find me on The Incomparable occasionally. You can find me at concerts here in town, apparently, because I go to shows now. And not just Soul Coughing. I see other bands too. Otherwise, I'm generally playing Pokemon Go when I'm not here talking to you, or occasionally presenting to an Apple user group, or occasionally popping in to see what I can do to keep Chuck Joyner off topic on Mac Voices Live on Tuesday night.
I will be speaking at an Apple user group as well this Saturday with Jeff, with my former user group in Chicago. So
That'll be cool.
Meeting with them on Saturday morning. And Ben Roethig, so glad you were able to make it this week. Where can people find you?
Well, Dave, you can find me working at my day job. Other than that, you can find me at Ben Roethig on your social media of choice. On Tuesdays, when time allows, I'm on Mac Voices Live with Mr. Chuck Joyner on Tuesday nights. The Big and the Mac shows on the British Tech Network. I should be there tomorrow. And I will be doing yet another relaunch of Roethig Tech very soon.
Great. Marty Jencius, last but not least, thank you always for being here. Appreciate you. Where can people find you?
Jencius, Jencius, at mastodon.social. Tuesday nights with Chuck Joyner on Mac Voices. Thursdays here with Dave and the gang, and a couple of other podcasts you can find at thepodtalk.net. And Sunday nights live 9 p.m. Central, and then again recorded with Vision Profiles with Eric Bolden.
Sunday or Monday?
Sunday night. Oh,
you do Sunday night.
Monday night. Thank you.
I was going to say. I just remember I was just on there Monday night.
Yeah. Sunday night I'm doing Circular Firing Squad, but Monday night.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you for all listening, watching, and participating in the YouTube chat. We always have a great time doing the show, and appreciate you supporting us and listening and being with us. But we got more stuff to talk about. But until next time, Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk again soon.